This is your Game of Thrones news update, where I take what I consider to be the most important Game of Thrones news from the past 7 or so days, and I share it with you. Warning, there are spoilers for Season 7 of Game of Thrones, so if you don't want spoilers, please don't watch this video. I will announce the winner from last news video's giveaway at the end of this video, as well as a new giveaway for your chance to win a gift card to Amazon. The dragons are going to be huge this season. We know Daenerys' dragons get a little bit bigger each season, sometimes a lot a bit bigger. Well, in an interview, Matt Shakman shared just how big the dragons are going to be this season. The dragons this year are the size of 747s. Drogon is the biggest of the bunch. His flame is 30 feet in diameter. Speaking of dragons, when showrunner David was asked if it is possible to have a dragon White Walker, he replied, "Maybe." Which means yes. David also said they love the Lannisters and they want to win, so I don't exactly trust the man now. Lannister supporters are not to be trusted. The showrunners also said if they could bring back any character to Game of Thrones, they would bring back Catelyn Stark. You're never gonna let that Lady Stoneheart wound close, are you? Bastards. Bran's actor Isaac said he'd love to warg into a dragon. That's #1 on his list, but we'll have to watch to find out. And he also talked about the theory that Jon and Meera are twins, stating that it's more of a show theory than a book one. He said, "I've talked to Ellie about this, who plays Meera, and she was saying she thinks it's more the show. Because she and Kit look similar, because in the books, I don't think they do. I love that idea because it does make sense, because Howland Reed is that last guy." While I don't believe the actors know all the little details of what's going to happen to their characters in future books, it's still interesting to me to hear their opinions and what they think of certain theories. Moving onward, Season 8 will have 6 episodes, and the writers are Dave Hill for Episode 1, Brian Cogman for Episode 2, and D&D for the other 4 episodes. Ed Sheeran has a cameo in Season 7 of Game of Thrones, and while we don't know what that cameo will be, I'm guessing it's probably a wildling, a white, or maybe some random person in King's Landing. Besides this being a big star for the show to have on, the reason why they brought him on for the cameo is even more endearing. David said Ed was one of Maisie's favorite singers, and because of that, they had been trying for years to get him on the show to surprise her. They did say a lot of music artists do want to be on the show, but they usually tell them they'll hate it, and it's so boring. However, they will have Brent Hines back this year for a cameo. I guess he's great at playing a white. Continuing on, Maisie joked about Sansa being dead at a panel at SXSW after someone asked why Sophie's hair was blonde. After this, the panel went awkwardly silent. However, Sophie had blonde hair the whole time, and we've seen pictures of her with a red wig on, so the hair color question was odd. She doesn't need to dye it if she's wearing a wig. Do I think Maisie let it slip that Sansa dies this season? Hell no. Maisie is the ultimate troll. Anything she says, you have to take that into account. I sort of think she just made a bad joke and the showrunners didn't know how to respond to it. On the same panel, Sophie Turner said, "I'm quite proud of what came after mine and Ramsay's wedding night. So take that how you want." And when asked if Jon Snow and Daenerys will meet in Season 7, David answered, "That feels so obvious. Maybe we should just avoid that." Which I think is likely because David is very aware of the leaked photos showing them together. Kit Harington got me so much more excited about this upcoming season when he shared with Huffington Post that Season 7 is worth all the hype it's been getting. He told them, "Yes, I'm gonna say yes. I mean, I hope it is. I certainly did more this season than I've ever done. I think every actor on it did more action, had more scenes. They really focused it because less characters are coming in, and they're focusing in on the existing ones, and there are lots of people who cross paths, and that's something that I think the audience has been waiting for a long time. They spent an increasing amount of money on less episodes, so it's going to be much bigger in scale. The CGI, we're trying new things, experimenting with new camera techniques. I think we're trying to break boundaries and push past boundaries in these final 2 seasons. You have to live up to the hype that surrounded the show, and the worst thing would be to end without really pushing and trying new things. Even if it's a failure, at least trying to go out with a bang." In an interview, Aidan Gillen, Littlefinger's actor, was just as confused as I am about Littlefinger being a sex symbol. He remarked on it, telling Collider, Well, I'm kind of surprised by that now because I wasn't really aware of it. I don't know, it's interesting given that some of the strands in the story are unsavory or could be seen that way. And Littlefinger's relationship with Sansa Stark is quite unorthodox, without me trying to put as much warmth into it as I can and just play it for real. I'm not aware of being a sex symbol though. I'm probably more excited about this than everyone else, but Game of Thrones wines are now available for purchase, and I will put the link in the video description below. So stock up on it before season 7. If you like games like me, you'll be excited to hear that Game of Thrones is coming out with a new tabletop game, and more information on this game will be coming out in the next few months. George stalking news. George shared that he's still working on the Winds of Winter, but the harder he works, the further behind he seems to get, which seems a little backwards, but we know he doesn't handle well with deadlines and pressure. George also responded to someone asking about whether he would collaborate to help with his writer's block, and he responded, "Professed writer's block? No, never professed that. I don't have writer's block. Never said I did. What I do have is too much to do. An entirely different problem. I collaborate with more than 40 writers on Wild Cards. I collaborate with HBO and David and Dan on Game of Thrones. I collaborated with Lisa Tuttle on Windhaven, with Daniel Abraham on Hunter's Run, with Gardner on our various big cross-genre anthologies. I even collaborated with Ilio and Linda on The World Book, A World of Ice and Fire. But A Song of Ice and Fire itself? No. Never have, never will." He said the projects he's working on with HBO is not a spin-off of Dunk and Egg or The Ninepenny Kings, which is a major bummer. George also got a bit cheeky when he was asked if A Song of Ice and Fire was a medieval dystopia. He responded, "It's the happiest place on earth." Also, I don't know exactly why, but this response from George just cracked me up. Despite this rep I seem to have as being a serial killer, I'm really a romantic at heart. As the longtime fans who have read all my stuff, not just Ice and Fire, have known all along. Maybe it's because I sort of do view him as a serial killer. Finally, George said he won't be doing any more A Song of Ice and Fire interviews until he finishes The Winds of Winter. Alright, let's finish with giveaways. Winner from last news video where I asked you what would make you rage quit the show was Katie, who said, "I swear to the fucking old gods in the new, if Jon and Daenerys even look at each other romantically, I will vomit through my tear ducts. If there's anything more than a look, I'm looking at you, Love Boat Rumor, then it's rage quit time." Honestly, the part that did it for me was her talking about vomiting through your tear ducts. That is just so gross. Message me for your gift card. New giveaway, I'm going to pick 2 winners for this one. So for your chance to win a $15 gift card to Amazon, all you have to do is like this video and answer in the comment section below, what do you want to see Bran warg into in season 7? I would love for him to go to Sutheros, get a dinosaur, and just start fucking the others up. An army of dinosaurs. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video, subscribe, and remember that every zoo is a petting zoo unless you're a little bitch.